Hi, today I'd like to tell you about the family trip we took this summer. We flew from Tunis to Hamburg, Germany, with a layover in Munich, as there was no direct flight. We arrived pretty late in the evening, so we only had time to take a quick look at the hotel and the neighborhood. The next morning, we headed out to visit the Miniature Wonderland Museum. It's the largest miniature park in the world, with tiny versions of cities from all around the globe. We spent the entire day there, and it was fun. In the afternoon, we walked along the Elbe River in Hamburg. The next day, we took the bus from Hamburg to Kiel, where the real adventure started. We boarded on the MSC Euribia ship. It's powered by liquefied natural gas, which cuts greenhouse gas emissions by up to 20%. On this ship, they manage waste really well. They sort the trash, and the wastewater goes through a special treatment system, so it's definitely an eco-friendly ship. As soon as we got on board, the MSC's mascot came to greet us. Our room wasn't ready yet, so we had a quick look around the ship and then headed to the buffet for some food. We were excited to see our room, especially since we got upgraded. The balcony was bigger, and there were even bunk beds. My daughter loved switching beds every night. We put on our swimsuits and went to the aqua park. Since most people were still boarding, it was almost empty. There are 5 pools on board, and the slides were awesome. In the evening, we had dinner at the a la carte restaurant while watching the ship leave the port. Dinners are usually assigned to either an early seating, usually around 6, or a late one, often around 8. The food was delicious and the service was excellent, and even if it's not mentioned, you can pick more than one dish from the menu. In the evening, we watched a show at the theater. There are 2 free shows every day. You can book ahead either the night before or the morning of and choose the time that works best for you. After that, we walked around the gallery. There are lots of duty-free shops, an ice cream place, and a famous chocolatier, Jean-Philippe Maury. You can even customize your own chocolate bar. We woke up in Copenhagen, Denmark, and took the hop-on, hop-off sightseeing bus. We walked along the Nyhavn Canal in downtown Copenhagen and stopped by the Lego store. We also made sure to see the Little Mermaid. Our stop in Copenhagen was short, and since the weather was nice, we went back to the ship to relax by the pool. Then we changed and went to the a la carte restaurant. This time we were seated with 2 Tunisian couples who were really nice, and we got to try some new specialities. Later, there was a 70s rock show. The next day, since it was a sea day, we chose to have breakfast on the balcony. At noon, we decided to try the Asian restaurant on board, but it's not included in the cruise price. There weren't many dessert options, so we went to the Carousel Lounge where the desserts were for free. In the evening, we had dinner with our new Tunisian friends at the a la carte restaurant. My daughter even tried the Norwegian omelette, and she loved it. After dinner, we also tried the 4D cinema. At the theater, there was a circus show. We took a quick walk around the gallery and went back to our room. When we opened the curtain, we were surprised to see it was still light outside, even though it was 11:30 p.m. I couldn't wait to wake up the next day, open the curtains, and see what was in store for me. I opened the curtains and look at that beautiful view. We're finally here, the fjords. I couldn't wait any longer. I threw on my sweater because it was a bit chilly, then stepped out onto the balcony to take it all in. We had breakfast while enjoying the view. Here we are off the boat. Our second stop is the village of Hellesylt in Norway. The port where our boat stopped was right in the village, so everything was nearby. We could get back on the boat anytime, whether to use the bathroom or grab a bite, which is exactly what we did. Later in the afternoon, we decided to go kayaking. We chose to do it on our own instead of with MSC because their group tour was a bit more expensive. To our surprise, we had private kayaks and we even got a personal guide who took her time to explain everything. It trained a bit, but it's actually what made the experience feel even more magical. In the evening, we saw a magic show at the theater, and the magician was really good. He even told us he'd soon have his own Netflix show. It was almost midnight and it was still so bright. Our third stop was Molde, also in Norway. In Molde, the boat can dock at two different ports. One is right in the city center, while the other is a bit farther. This time, we weren't lucky as the boat docked at the farther one. Luckily, we had booked a tour bus that picked us up right at the port and took us to the Atlantic Road. Just before heading back, our guide, who was Korean and lived in Norway, along with our bus driver, surprised us by taking us all the way up to enjoy the view. Once back on board, we decided to try the Himalaya Bridge. It was 60 meters above the sea, and the view was incredible. It was free, and we could go as many times as we wanted. Next, my daughter went to the junior club. It's for kids of all ages, from babies to teenagers. It's free, and you can even leave your child on board during stops. They even take care of feeding them. We've reached our final stop and destination, the village of Flum in Norway. We took a scenic train, and luckily we had bought our ticket in advance and chosen the first hour because there were a lot of people waiting when we got back. It was a round trip, so we switched sides to make sure we didn't miss any of the views. The train takes us up to the Myrdal mountain, which is 867 meters high. We made a short 10-minute stop at the Kjosfossen waterfall to enjoy the legend of Uldra. This creature is part of the Norse mythology, and her name means woman of the forest. Some say she's a troll, while others think she's a light elf. She looks like a woman, but has a deformity, a cow's tail, or according to the Swedish folklore, a fox tail. She was famous for her beauty and her sad, sweet songs that she used to lure men. Her only goal was to find a husband. If a man accepted her as she was, the tail would disappear. But if the man was scared of her, she'd get revenge and move on to the next one. We could see some snow on the mountain tops, which felt a bit strange for us Tunisians, used to the heat and much higher temperatures in summer. When we got back to the village, we saw that MSC had organized a picnic for her team. We thought it was a great idea, so we headed back to the ship to grab some food and set up our own picnic. It's perfectly fine to bring food off the ship or take it to your room. In fact, on some ships, they even have pre-packed sandwiches ready to take with you on shore excursions. We were surprised to see people swimming so easily, while we could barely dip our toes in the water without shivering from the cold. If you're into the Viking culture, you'll definitely enjoy this place. Unfortunately, we missed a farewell ceremony where the villagers came to say goodbye. It was a very touching moment, but we couldn't film much because we arrived a bit late. That evening, we chose the buffet over the à la carte restaurant because it was quieter, especially since most people tend to head to the à la carte restaurant at night. I forgot to mention that both the à la carte and buffet restaurants always have options for vegans, vegetarians, and people with diabetes. At the theater, there was a special Ed Sheeran night. That night was also White Night, where everyone wore white. The next day was a sea day, and since it was raining outside, we went to see the magician we had seen a few days earlier. He did a small show and taught us some magic tricks. Later in the evening, at the theater, there was a special show with all the performers we had seen during the week. Since it was our last night on board, we got a nice surprise. At the end of the show, the captain and a few crew members came to say goodbye. We took a quick walk through the gallery before going back to pack, since we had to disembark early the next day. Disembarking went smoothly, our flights were fine, and this time we had a layover in Frankfurt. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe to our new channel so you won't miss any of our future adventures. And feel free to drop any questions in the comments. See you soon!